I'm going to try to explain this really slow to my MAGA friends. This has nothing to do with party affiliation. If anything, I'm a constitutional Republican. This has to do that Trump brought us closer to World War III. Now listen to me as to why. The dollar is crashing. We owed over $38.4 trillion. Our GDP, gross domestic product, and what we sell and produce to other countries and all that, it's around 24 trillion. So I'm going to put it to you mathematically so you can understand. If you get paid $38,400 a year, but you only make $24,000 a year, you have a shortage, right? And you are borrowing from lenders to survive, to sustain yourself. The difference. However, the lenders see and notice that you are overextended in debt. You're over leveraged. And the amount you get paid will never be able to pay back that loan. So the interest starts accumulating, compounding, because you're not paying the principal. You keep refinancing, which increases the principal and the amount you owe because you are just paying part of the interest. Kind of like negative amortization for those who understand. So now the lenders say, wow, I cannot lend you anymore, right? See, the dollar is backed by nothing but by your servitude. It used to be backed by gold. Therefore, it was measurable, right? If you work few hours, I work few hours, we exchange in our value and our energy in gold. 1 ounce of gold was worth $35, right? But we took the dollar off the gold standard in 1971. Going back a little more, since 1913, our country was taken over by these Zionist elites and family, these banking financial cabal. And since then to 2025, we lost 97% of our purchasing power. Let alone that they created these agencies like the IRS to collect from you, okay? To collect this money that we owe to them. You think the Federal Reserve is a government entity, and it is not. Therefore, we owe $38.4 trillion. Now, the dollar that was backed by gold, when we took it off the gold standard, it became fiat currency, which means it's just backed by the faith, right? So other countries became scared. Say, wait a minute, we peg our currency to their dollar because their dollar was worth gold. It was exchangeable in a certificate. However, when we took it off the gold standard, it was just backed by, trust me, I'll pay you back. We're good. We got a strong military. So countries started dropping the dollar, and it created a lot of issues, which eventually we became creative and started a monopoly and coerced with Saudi Arabia to make sure that every country that wanted to buy oil that was needed, right, for diesel, for transportation, for trucks to bring you food, services, right, for heating your home, at the time, industrial companies. So they forced every country, if they wanted oil, they have to convert their currency into dollar. So that created a higher demand for the dollar, which seems good at the time, right? And it kept us alive until now. So we were backed by the being coerced, right? Forced for countries to exchange their currency to dollar. Creating a higher demand for the dollar, thus value. Our Federal Reserve kept printing dollars, thus devaluing the currency and robbing all the countries in the world through inflation, right? The invisible tax. So basically, all these other countries that subsidize, basically are subsidizing our debt. But the issue is BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, along with other countries that are joining them, like Iran, right? Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, right? They started basically getting rid of the dollar to trade in this currency that was created by BRICS. And one of the powers to do that is oil. So now other countries don't have to buy oil in dollars, right? Because Saudi Arabia left and joined BRICS in 2024, accepting Chinese yuan because they are so much more powerful and larger and purchase a higher demand for oil. They purchase more oil. So Saudi Arabia knows that we're going down, that our empire is collapsing. And they said, okay, so I'm not going to force other nations to buy our oil through OPEC in dollars. They could buy in yuan. So the issue in Venezuela is a lot bigger than you think. This is not about Maduro or the Venezuelan people. And it's obvious because if you had any common sense, you know that we send billions in dollars and weapons to Israel and kill innocent children, right, in Gaza. So it was about freedom. We will be freeing Palestine, right? Gaza, not Venezuela. Obviously, because many countries now are buying oil through BRICS. China invested billions of dollars in the infrastructure of getting oil or getting the crude oil converted to other these sources and selling to all these other countries that we, America, have put negative sanctions on, like Cuba, like Iran, right? We don't allow other countries to trade with them, buy their products or sell to them, which we put a stranglehold on them. This is why it led to a lot of their poverty. You could argue with me about dictators and all that, but the fact is, if these countries produce stuff and they cannot sell or buy, right, because we're stopping them, then that's what has happened. So we've done it to Libya, Syria, Iran, Cuba. We've done it to many countries, and the last one we did was a superpower called Russia. So not only are people buying oil in their own currency via BRICS, which surpass us in what they produce, GDP. So the world doesn't need United States no more because we were the middleman. We outsourced all our jobs, outsourced all the products that we produce, and we just buy it from these other countries and selling it forward. We have attacked many of the Latin American countries and taken out their governments, stole their natural resources, their companies, and enslaved people, right? And then that's why this country became very powerful and strong. They kept robbing the world. And then you complain about when you see these Latin Americans coming over through our borders. So all this was planned. So the issue is now in Venezuela, we are not fighting with Venezuela. As I stated before, we are fighting with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, along with other countries that have joined them. So these countries are very powerful. If you really think we are more powerful than Russia, especially China, you are highly mistaken. It's been proven in Ukraine. I could also speak about Ukraine, but I don't want to make this longer. It's unfortunate that innocent people died, but they were encroaching on Russian land, and they warned us for 10 years, over 10 years, and we said, they're not going to do nothing until they did. It's a lot deeper. I could give you that information. You could source it yourself. But the point is that China, who have all these countries joining them or joining BRICS, they became more powerful than us and GDP and G7 combined. That's Canada, Japan, and many European countries. They surpassed us in GDP, PPP. Look it up. I wrote about this statistical facts. They're not going to allow us to steal Venezuela's oil because now we're threatening their financial and their currency, the yuan, and the BRICS bridge that they created, moving billions and trillions of dollars already. We are doomed. So the people that run this country, the elites that are foreign, that took over America since 1913, it's obvious who they are now, right? They're not going to allow those countries to overpower us. The problem is, I will be for it, but we are a terrorist nation. We have committed genocide throughout our entire history, including in Puerto Rico with the stuff we've done. We've done this especially in Latin America. We've done it over in the Middle East. So they're not going to allow, because other countries are getting rid of the dollar, right? And going with BRICS. because BRICS is backed by 40% by gold, and the other 60% is backed by 5 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, in the baskets of goods of what they produce. So each country cannot become more powerful than the other. It is fair. And the world likes that. The world likes that we have put negative sanctions on them and close their bank account, so you can understand, like we cut Russia, right, $300 billion we froze and stopped them and took them off the Swiss account like we did to Cuba, Venezuela, Iran. But Iran learned a lot from that, and they showed Russia how to circumvent all that. So Russia was prepared because we had threatened them before, and they created their own system with China, with BRICS. So this is a war with BRICS. And if you know China, that has so many people, they're very smart and intellectual, okay? They have artificial intelligence, robot. We cannot compete. And you know what? They don't even have to, because they are the lenders that I told you about that lend us money, because we cannot sustain this nation without loans, which is bought through treasury bonds. Besides the reserve, the Swiss reserve, they buy our treasury bonds, right? And we promise them a certain amount of percentage. Well, when they withdraw those holdings, right, that creates panic in the dollar, because other nations, like the stock market, when somebody starts selling, what everybody starts doing, wait a minute, a huge company selling their stocks, their shares. Oh, let me sell mine too. Something's going on, because it starts devaluing. And that's what we up against. Therefore, that's why I know there's a major war coming. Besides that, I saw it on a vision and I put it up. Besides that, I predicted a lot of stuff and it has happened. This is going to get so much worse. And unfortunately, unless, I think it's too late, but unless we wake up and remove legally these people in power and the people running our senator that sold themselves to AIPAC and Israel, we're going to come crashing down. And my vision that I said will happen, and it's on Facebook. You can look at it. It's on YouTube. I've been warning you for years. I saw this coming. So I hope I explain it better, my MAGA friends, because your idolatrizing Trump is not going to help you. Forget about politics, Republican and Democrats, because both are being bought off by these special elites. The media is owned and controlled by them. So they give us contrarian views so we can fight among each other, right? When they own both sides. And you're just a fool falling for this BS. So we are in danger. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it. Very simple. I could show you, and I will be putting up the depreciation of the dollar, 97%, the debt versus the GDP, the taxes we collect. It is, how when you bought a property, right, back then compared to now, you see there's a huge gap, right, between what the house costs compared to what you get paid. You think your minimum wage goes up a little, but it's not keeping up with inflation. As I just stated before, $1 used to buy you $35, I'm sorry. It should buy you an ounce of gold. How much does an ounce of gold cost now? Look it up. We are in a really bad predicament. God bless. A lot of you got to open up your Christ consciousness. This has nothing to do with religion. We were fooled. We have been manipulated with religion and everything. And you better believe in something, because things are going to stop hitting the fan. I hope I was wrong, because I want to keep selling real estate, making money. But we in a bad predicament, guys. I love you all. Remember that. And that's what I have for you. Bye-bye.